I'm going to call the March 25th, 2025 Street Committee meeting to order. Do you want to do a roll call?
Sure. You ready? Lamar?
Here.
Smith?
Yes.
Shears?
Here.
Okay, thank you. Under petitions from the audience, I would like to invite the Main Street Director to come up and give us a quick update on the streetscape project.
Thank you for having me last minute here. So, was it a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago perhaps, we had our final site review with the Oklahoma Department of Transportation and are ready to submit our 100% plan by the end of this month. With all of that going through as planned, then we'll be out for bid in about 3 to 4 months, and then 3 to 4 months after that, as far as we know, as far as everything continues as planned, then we should be breaking ground. So looking at, what, 6 to 8 months probably out on that. So we do have a few more brick pavers that are available if anyone has not had the opportunity to purchase those and you want to be eternally memorialized downtown. We have and when I say a few, I mean literally 4.
And how much are they?
They're $150 each.
And if someone wants to obtain a brick paver, how do they do that?
They can either go onto the Pryor Main Street website, so it's mainstreetpryor.org, or I can provide them with a paper copy.
Okay. And can you just briefly say what, is this
Are
like
we allowed
phase?
to do this in our petitions, just out of curiosity?
Yes.
Just one.
Sorry. Like what all the streetscape entails?
Yes, is there a, yes.
Yes. So in the current plans, there is 2 archway monument signs that will span across South and North Adair. There will be pedestrian signal lights going in for walkability and safety purposes. There will be bump outs, once again, for walkability and safety issues, especially in that intersection between Graham and Adair. And there'll be a little bit of beautification. There'll be new signal lights that will be going in that will be up to date and up to par with all the current standards. So yeah, it's to make it more safe and walkable downtown district, which is, you know, a huge priority, and better access for our markets downtown.
Okay.
So,
And when you say
that's
go
phase
out
1.
for bids, who goes out for the bids? Main Street or the city?
It will be a combination of Main Street, Kimley Horn, and ODOT. So.
Okay, and ODOT. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, item number 3, discuss possibly approve minutes of the January 28th, 2025 meeting. You all had a chance to review those, and
I'll still move.
okay, a motion by Councilor
I'll
Smith
second.
and a second by Councilor Shears to approve minutes. Call for the vote.
Lamar?
Yes?
Smith?
Yes.
Shears?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item number 4, Street Superintendent Report, Mr. Buddy Glenn, Esquire.
Well, ever since it's warmed up, I mean, everything's coming due now. I got all the mud repairs. We had some mud repairs here a while back that I got from Jimmy and everything, so we finally got them all done. We've been out dipping some ditches out through here. We've only been able to get to Clayton, Southeast 2nd, and South Edith. We've got those all dipped and opened up, and it seems like everybody's happy with them. We've had a lot of, not trees, but I guess partial trees, tree limbs, when we had all that high wind here a while back, man. I mean, they was just, and it wasn't on the street side, it was more on the citizen side, breaking and blowing out. So us trimming trees, you know, every year it seems like it's helping our part out. But we put some signs up out on Southwest 9th Street. I know I talked with Johnny out through there, and of course on their gates on their side down, they got double gates down there. And in our times past, I know we still have double gates down in the park there on Kauai and stuff, but I didn't like those because what they would do, if it come over the weekend, the water dropped down far enough, the guys with the big trucks or whatever, they'd push them up, bust the locks or the the chain or whatever, they just tear them up. So I just got a half one, on the ongoing traffic, like going west out through there. So, but I mean, if they go around them, they're breaking the law anyway. But putting some signs that says gate closed on other end. So there's no reason why that, if they go around and say, well, you know, why is the gate closed? I mean, anyway, it's just another, hopefully to deter people from going around them. Putting some stop signs out there on 530 Road and District Avenue. I know I talked with Steve Grossman on that, and he said he would go out there first. He was thinking that it was his property, which I told him. I said, well, as far as I know, I said the city's going to take it all in eventually one of these days. But I said, as far as I know, it's still county property. So then he come back and called me. He said, well, everybody on his end was telling him it was all that was city property out through there. So I said, well, I'm not going to argue with you. I said, we've got the material up through here. I said, we'll just put them in, and eventually it'll be done, because they're wanting to make that a four-way intersection out there. So because again, with 530 Road, it was just opened up, so they was afraid that was going to be a raceway. So they was out there today, and they got the asphalting done, and we went out and called a locate in. We're waiting. We got one side over on the south side. We have to wait till they got to send us somebody out to watch my guy dig the hole, so we put that in, because I guess there's some type of something they put underneath the ground that's something special. I'm not real sure, but he said they have to have somebody to watch it. So I told him today, I said, well, then you tell them they need to get them out here so we can get it done. Drainage pipes, we've done some on Southeast 2nd. That was a bad pipe. A lot of these pipes we've been finding out that the reason they've been plugged up over these years is they've been extending their driveways, where they've been putting either larger or smaller pipes backwards in through there. You can put a smaller pipe into a bigger pipe, it'd be fine, but they was doing it the other way around, smaller pipe into bigger pipe, and that's what they was all being plugged up. So we've had to replace some of them over on, where's it at? Well, Southeast 2nd one, over on Bryan Street, and then there's a new house going in over on 8th and Southeast 8th and Adair, so we put one over on there. So and I told them, also the people's doing it, I said, you tear the pipe up, then you'll have to replace it, because I said, once we put it in, it's yours. So if you bend it up, you'll have to buy one. We'll reinstall it, but I said that'll be up to you for that purchase. Just something that popped in my head. Alley behind the teachers' parking at the middle school. That's something we need to look at this next year for overlay. That was another one that completely just passed my mind. There's that little short alley that goes back there. I guess where the big, not auditorium, but what would you call that back in the day?
Graham Memorial Auditorium.
Is it auditorium? Okay. So anyway, that alley back there is pretty good. We go back there, and I can't remember her name now, but I said, well, anytime it's bad, call me. We'll go back and fix it and, smooth it out for them. So, but we need to look at that this next year. Something I forgot, I was wanting to put back on there, but the fuel tank and electric hookup out there for our fuel tanks out there. What we have is not sufficient for what needs to be done, I guess, according to OSHA standards. And we did put the money back in that for, I think it was 5411, I think it is our capital outlay. And I was figuring in, I think it was around 5,000 what it was going to cost to put in. So I need to go ahead and start going out for bids to get that done, because if they come by because they've already told us once that needs to be done, and like I said, I guess
Exactly what is it?
well, it's like over at MUB when they had those new fuel tanks put in. It's an outside meter electrical box or whatever, that I guess they're, anti-spark and all this stuff. It's supposed to have some new rules and stuff that they come out with, but it costs about 5,000 to have it put in. It's quite an ordeal to doing it. But I've talked to a couple of people up here, and I know there's 2 contractors that's interested in putting bids in. So they just said to let him know, but that's all I could find was 2.
Buddy, where's those tanks at?
As soon as you pull into the gate right there to the right.
Okay, all right.
We done a sidewalk repair over on North Whitaker, that area through there. That water was standing, and we finally figured out why it was standing. To the people right in the middle of the block, so they wouldn't have a drop off in front of their house. They took it upon themselves back years ago to pour a cap on top of it. So we had to reroute the water, and we did the last pour today on that one, so that sidewalk area will be done. We have a pipe on the opposite side. It's I don't know what type of pipe. It looks like some type of tower pipe or something that was put back in, I guess, years ago, and it's rusting out, so we're gonna get around and have to put that in. And also, there's something for us to think about. I was just gonna bring it up to you and for the mayor, when the contract for doing our overlay, which I never thought nothing about, but there's a guy, I think he's in Muskogee, that he does asphalt testing. You know, in times past when we've had a contractor come in, certain one come in, that it just didn't seem like the asphalt was good enough. Well, they do this guy here will come in and test your asphalt to make sure you have the correct mixture, whatever, you know, that it requires. And like they give me this number and stuff like that, but I thought I'll just pass that on to you all in case that's something you might think about wanting to do. You know, anytime we get a contractor come in, just like we do with concrete streets, we have a guy come in and does the testing, and then if the testing fails or whatever, then the contractor has to pay for it, for the testing and all that. And then if the asphalt's or whatever it is, it's not what it's supposed to be, then they have to tear it out and redo it.
Well, in the past, the engineer has had our engineering firm has always had an inspector on site, right?
Yes.
Shouldn't that be part of their job, to be testing that, to make sure it's?
I'm not sure that that's I mean, I haven't really looked at that, but it used to be, I was trying to think, it was Cherokee something, Cherokee Testing that used to hire to come in and do the testing on the concrete to make sure that they was pouring it at the correct slump, and the mixture of the rock and the breakage and everything. You know, you have a 7-14 and a 20-28 day break on it to make sure that everything is correct on it. So that I'm not real sure if his inspector is qualified for that or not. I'm not real sure. So, but that's, other than that, we got, I mean, other things we got, you know, in between things that we're covering. I mean, that's our main thing that we've done since it's gotten warm. So.
Did you visit with Jimmy at MUB about that manhole cover there on South?
I talked with him. He said that he'll have to get back with me, and so I'm just waiting on him to get a free moment to come over and go down there and look at it and see what we can be done. Because see, Kauai Street eventually it's going to need some TLC on it. It's going to need to be overlaid from there all the way. Well, basically all the way from
Jefferson.
Yeah, well, from Jefferson all the way back to Graham. I mean, it's just, but because that was one of the streets we'd put that it's not oil and chip, but it's that covering on there. It's a 1/2 inch thick that we put on, and it extended the life of it. I mean, it helped, but it's time something's going to have to be done with that because that's a highly traffic area also. So, but there's, like I said, towards the overlay, you know, we need to get around. You know, well, I mean, I already got some streets picked out. You know, of course, I know we're not discussing it tonight, so I figure I'd just go ahead and throw this in on my report. But Clayton, Dog Pound, and State Street is what I've got for this next year. Well, then plus with this alley. So because Clayton it's just falling apart, we have got to do something with that one. Dog Pound, I mean, I know there's only 2 houses down through there, but when we have problems on Highway 69 and 20 and all the railroad track coverings, that's the only place that they can go. And right now, it's just terrible. So, and then like I say, if you ever get the range or whatever going down through there, you ain't gonna get too many people want to drive down through it. It's gonna bounce everything out and around. But I think if we can do something to fix it right when we go through it, that's gonna be a couple of roads we ain't gonna have to worry about for 10, 12 years. So.
You mentioned State Street. You sure it's not Jackson?
Did I say State? Yeah, it's probably Jackson Street. Yeah, because State Street's the one behind McDonald's.
Yes.
Jackson Street's the next one. That's the one that they was building those new houses, and I think they got one more that they're going to put in. And once they get that done, then we're going to repair that pipe going across the road. And then there's a lot of areas through there that's just it's just got a base repair. It's just getting soft.
Yeah.
And we can fix the soft spots ourselves. That's not a problem. And you know, no more. That's probably $5,000-6,000 overlay probably for that street, so it's not all that much, but it does need, it's been needed for a couple of years, but.
And to piggyback that, you know, we talked about this, I think maybe at the last meeting, to where the plan was that each councilman needs to get together and figure out with Buddy what streets are main issues that we want to get fixed, so we can put that together in a big package for next year's improvements. So don't forget to do that and get with your counterpart in your areas to come up with a good list.
Yeah, because like I said, if nothing else, if we ain't got any big drainage projects going on, I've got a couple that we'll discuss here in a little bit on here, but if we don't have nothing that's real huge, that the money that we have this year, if we don't have to put any in, we can just roll that money over, and then I can put more to a street project, because it's, again, you know, Clayton, Dog Pound, and Jackson Street, they're gonna have to be done. I mean, that's just no ands, ifs, or buts, because they're falling apart. We're spending more money on, a load of oil is $400, and you go down and get a $200 load of chips. You can put it on there, it lasts for a while, but then, like I said, it's just, I mean, it's just an oil and chip road, and then sometimes you just go out and throw patch on it. So, I mean, you're just throwing a Band-Aid every time you go out there, but you keep getting more and more and more. Then after this winter, it's really bad. It's just falling apart.
What about Northeast Fifth? We talked about that, how that's falling apart down there by the school.
Well, see, Northeast Fifth, yep, see, we talked about that one, because see, it's gonna have to go all the way from Highway 69.
Yep.
All the way probably to, well, not all the way to Gaither, but probably down to at least Oklahoma Street, I think it is. I mean, eventually that one's gonna have to be done too. And the base repair on that one there is just basically, it's not so much center, but it's your sides of your road is falling in where the buses and the trash trucks and everything drives through there. It's not a real wide road, but, you know, those probably, like I said, with a contractor, those are gonna have to be dug up, and that's maybe something we could also do if we decide to do that, is we'll have to dig those out, pour concrete on them, bring them all the way back up, and then come back and do an overlay on them. That's the only way you're gonna fix the road edges, is because it's just, there's so much water that goes down through Fifth Street that when it runs fast, it washes everything out. So, yeah, but that's another street that we're gonna have to look at. So, any other thing?
What's the, I know the prices went up, but what's the current price right now for concrete and asphalt that we're?
Concrete right now for us, it went up $10. It's $157 a yard.
157 a yard? Okay.
How much
And
is asphalt?
Asphalt right now for mix that we use right now is $66 a ton.
How's that apples to apples? Is asphalt just about as high as concrete to use?
Well, asphalt's a little bit cheaper, but it's easier for us to replace the concrete. And to me, concrete lasts longer than what asphalt does.
Oh, yeah.
Asphalt's about every 5 years, 5 to 7 years, something like that. You need to come in, because it starts losing its elasticity or whatever it is. And again, you know, you have to have something to be able to mill it, and then have something to lay it back down. And concrete's easier for us, because anything starts breaking or falling through, you know, that's something we can dig and replace pretty easy. So, but then I think then there's a higher grade of asphalt that you can get. I don't know how out here at Pryor plant, I'm not real sure with that. What that price is, but what we get charged for is $66 a ton. So, and that may be something we want to start looking at the future. Is when we go out for a contract, is they just do contractor does the labor, and if he gives us maybe a special price or whatever, because like this last one's doing $95 a ton. Of course, you know, contractor comes in, they're gonna mark it up a little bit to make their money. Well, like I said, out here, I talked with Jesse, and he said, well, it might be something you might bring it up to him, and which I don't have a problem with that there. It's just, you know, buying local here, and so then if there's something wrong with the asphalt, have it tested, and they're right here. So, I mean, it's not, you're having not to deal with somebody at Tulsa or Broken Arrow or whatever it is.
So how many tons does it, how many tons does it make for a yard of asphalt?
Probably
Just rough equivalent, I mean.
3-4 yards. I mean, it's pretty close. Like our buckets that we got down there, and our backhoes are a 1 yard bucket. So I mean, that's how you kind of judge.
Okay.
And, they'll hold exactly 1 yard of concrete, and then about the same with asphalt, I mean, it's pretty close.
It's just one of those, you get what you pay for. If you invest in the concrete, it's gonna work over the long term.
Yeah.
With asphalt, you're just gonna have to keep spending the manpower and all that
Yep.
to come back in, unless you have a really bad winter and it just busts up what you put in, so.
Well, that's the thing, when you plow over asphalt, it does, I mean, it takes some of your material off the top. It don't look like much, but when you plow it off, I mean, you can see it. I mean, maybe, you know, it's just scraping the top of it, but,
Well, the reason I asked that, I was talking to a contractor yesterday, and he's the one that mentioned, he said it's just about as cheap to use concrete as it is asphalt now, the prices of both of them.
yeah. It just takes longer for concrete, 'cause like I said, with asphalt, you can, well, like on a project, you can go and you can asphalt it and roll it in one day, and then several hours later, you can open it up and let it to the public. Concrete, you have to let it basically cure out. We do a 7-day cure just to make sure. You can do the high early, and with this last contractor we had, I mean, he would do that, he would pour it, and by the end of the day, he'd open it up. But I mean, yeah, it sets up, and I talked to him, and he said, well, we can let it set usually you let those set for like 2 to 3 days. He said, well, we can, but, you know, that's gonna slow our project down. And of course, you got a year warranty on the work, so if anything tears up, cracks, or breaks or whatever, they gotta come in and fix it, you know, but.
Okay, thank you, buddy. This is for either you and or the mayor, whoever wants to. Can you go to item number 5 and give us an update on the Highway 20, the old Highway 20 Northeast First Street Overlay Project?
Yes, I can do that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
My pleasure. 5 o'clock today on the button. I got a text from Dale. Surprise, surprise. And he says, let me get to it, and I'll read it right off of here. Glover called, this is at 4:59. Glover called and said they are having trouble getting their ODOT permit to move the milling machine. They will not be there tomorrow. So,
We redo it,
do what?
we're gonna redo the beds and stuff then, or?
We're gonna let them get their machine here. I told Dale, my concern was, why was that not done prior to the day they're supposed to be here? They've known they were supposed to start February 16th.
It was the same worry that you and Dale said when we. did
Correct.
this.
So, we put out some notices on social media that that project was gonna get done. They've put out their 48-hour notices. They went door to door, hung those. I just personally don't think there was an ounce of professionalism in those letters. It was font about that big on a piece of paper that said, "We're starting a project," folded and stuck in the doors. I think, I'll reach out to them in the morning, and I'll continue to talk to them. They've been talking to me. Glover has been talking to me, and whatever his name is, Hornsbastel or whatever. Sorry, I should know that. They've been talking to me. They've been answering my calls, answering my texts, been responsive. I'll first thing in the morning say, "Hey, why are you not here?" And I'll let him explain to me why they didn't have that permit ready. But I think let's give them a day or so. They were ready to move in last week. I told them to not show up last week. They were going to come in on Thursday and work through the weekend, and I said, we have the Okie Homesteading Festival, and there's going to be our expo, and there's going to be several thousand cars coming and going out of this fairgrounds. No. And he said, well, why didn't we plan this better? I said, well, we planned for you to start in February and be done by now. So that said, I told him, I said, if you go to point XYZ, which was the start of the project, was splitting a driveway, the end, and I talked to you about that, and I think I've talked to you, Jerry, about it. There's a house down there on the corner of Keel Road. The end and start of the project, or whatever you want to call it, was splitting the driveway, and that homeowner came to me and said,
Yeah.
please don't split my driveway with the project. And so I said, I'll extend some grace, and you show up next week, but you take that, past that driveway, so you're not splitting it. He said, okay. They did their markings. All of their stakes are all the way down there where they've done their locates. They also agreed to flare the road out at the mailboxes at no cost to the city. talking to Councilman Lamar, Chairman Lamar, whatever it is in this setting. We talked about the possibility of going over Cemetery Hill to cover that mud patch that was put in, what, a year or so ago?
Yeah, last year.
Went out this morning, by the way, I got your roller in the car. Went out this morning, it's an additional 558 feet to almost to the penny. So if that's a change order that you feel that you want to do, just, we've got the bids in there, ticket times 558. That's probably what it's going to end up costing. I have not done that math, I apologize. But I think before we add a change order, let's get them in the city limits, right? Let's get them here. So Dale is prepared, and I hope the right ears are listening. Dale has prepared a 10-day letter that if H&G or Glover and Associates does not show up to do this project, then that 10-day letter is written to the bond company and we'll go after their bond. After that, we just have to see what happens in terms of response and getting it done from that point. But let's hope that it doesn't get to that. They can come in and get this project done in a timely manner. Any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Do you have one?
Yeah, well, at what point, if it becomes the issue, when do we want to look at potentially issuing that letter?
Well, I feel like with that letter being ready, all I have to do is get that letter to Chase at this point. So I did tell Dale, he sent that last week when I called you guys and told you that I told him to wait. He sent that letter at the exact same time. So I said, let's see what they do next week. But I think by the end of this week, if we don't have a project going, I think we have every right and every responsibility to hit their bonding company for not following through on the project they bid.
Does that take council action? Or
No.
is that somebody, okay.
No, that's part of the process.
Of course,
Dale's ready to do that.
Of course, they were trying to get out here last week, but if they don't have their specific permits or whatever it is they need in place to move their machine, how in the world were they even gonna get out here?
Well, keep in mind, they're already a month past their start date.
No,
Now, that said, let's all be adults about this.
no.
We've had some bad weather.
Oh, I
We've had
agree,
some
yeah.
snow, we've had those things. But still, I'm with you. We need to see action. I've been very clear that they need to get moving. We're not gonna relive what we lived a few years ago with, they've also got projects in other communities that I've communicated with Dale about. He has some concerns with those. That's not the city of Pryor's business, but just be aware that the heat's on them. So, and I know Lamar's been out there this morning. I've been out there a couple times today, just kind of watching. Their plan is, though, I will say, to stage their equipment at the or at the soccer fields over by the chat files, where that millings is at. When they do their millings, we will be keeping those millings, and that's where they've been instructed to put them. Confirm everybody, that's what we want. So,
As I say, my office that I work out of is, I got a full view of it, and there's basically been nothing, so.
yeah.
But, yeah. we can keep
All
an
right,
eye on that.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item number 6 is an update regarding the South Elliott Street drainage project.
Yeah, you may know more than me.
Well, they're working on it. They're trying to get some surveying done. I don't know if you've noticed. I think there's some issues with the diameter pipe and the flow and things. So they're just trying to work out the engineering side of what exactly needs to be done. That's all part of that process. It's on his work list. Dale's working on it, but that's about all there is to that one. There's nothing to present to the council.
Well, the last update that we had was that the holdup a couple months ago was that there's something, a MUB water line or something has to be.
There was,
So is
there
that
is,
been
well, I
repaired?
say there is, I didn't mean that like there was, like we went in and ripped it up. But those are all part of those things where they've gotta go in, they find those parallel lines, whatever, they've gotta figure out, are we gonna encroach on that, are we gonna keep safe? But as of last week when I talked to Dale, it was just getting the surveying done on those projects there and making sure that we're right with MUB and that we're right with ourselves and the distance from the streets. So
You
So
don't
we
wanna-
still have to go out for bids on, or did we? It's been so
No, we
long.
have
I
not gone out
forgot.
for bids on
I
that,
think we
no.
have.
So when he gets back with that full scope of work, then that'll be ready for bidding, and that process should go pretty quick. I think we're learning how to get that done a little bit better, so.
And it was gonna go from 15th, or on the paper, it was called Wilkerson Drive, I think, but it's gonna go from 15th north to,
I think 12th. is
12th?
what we're looking at.
Right.
12th Street, because then the ditch gets down to where it's just.
It's just
maintainable.
surface ditch.
The other ones are this deep and, 10 foot wide, but they just keep washing out.
is 12th Street on the north or the south side of the old Presbyterian Church
It's
property?
right at, I think it's just on the north side of, because
On the north
11th,
side.
11th is the street past, and that's where it connects around. 10th is where we've got that
Mm-hmm.
lip, and so 12th would be just on the north side of the church.
Yeah, right there.
And just for clarification, I did talk to Dale that Wilkerson is on the west side of the road
Yes.
and here, and so sorry, my bad, is kind of what he said, but it's all the same street.
So we talked about this and planned for it this current fiscal year, and now it's March, or April. So are we gonna be looking into the same problem we had last year with the alleys, and we're gonna cross over into the new year before we actually?
I'd hope that we can get this moving fast enough. Like I said, I've gotta talk to Dale in the morning. So we're keeping daily communication on things, so I'll see where we're at, get you an update.
So this is in Dale's court right now, he's working on it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, his team is working on, the big hiccup was those water lines and things from there, so. And that's kind of par for the course.
But have they already been moved? Has MEB already moved those water
I don't
lines?
think it's a matter of moving, I think it's a matter of getting the right, you correct me, the right diameter of pipe. And we may not get a 32 inch, we may have to go to a 24, but that's what we're trying to figure out. And then what size is gonna allow the right flow with the, the, whatever they call that, the angle of decline on the water.
Okay, all right,
Alright.
thank you.
Yep,
And also, just as we move on, I mean, since this project here has not gone out for bid, if something does happen where we're not able to, I mean, that's something we can still, if the council wants to, we can carry on, we can actually have that happen after July 1st.
the wall still be there.
Yeah, so I mean, the funds will be there and everything, like I said, we just roll what we have in our drainage, just roll that over into that, and that's something we can carry on. The problem is when we do that, and then we have to try to get the Coker to roll the money over in the project, and that's when things usually go haywire, and that's, I just don't want to do that anymore.
Okay, thank you. Item number 7 is discuss and possibly recommend council action regarding North Elliott and Clayton Road traffic issue.
This is something that you.
I asked Buddy to, and this is probably gonna open up a can of worms, I get it. But I asked Buddy to just give us the quote and price on speed bumps that could be put in that area. I observed that they had these similar type of speed bumps in a similar type curve on North Saltwell Street in Salina at the high school over there. And so I just asked Buddy to give us a quote on what speed bumps would cost. They're rubber, if I recall right.
Correct.
And Buddy has got us a quote on that for a price wise to see if that's what we wanted to do or stick with the stop sign that's in place. So I just asked Buddy to get us this information for something to go by, and I appreciate you doing that. And, do we
Yeah, I've
want?
got some questions.
Sure. Open it up. for
Well,
discussion.
stop signs that's on North Elliott's a joke where they're sitting. We need, if nothing else, replace those and see if that will work before we do the speed bump thing. If we start the speed bump deal, we're gonna have them all over town. You'll have to have a semi hauling in pads. But everybody's got somebody fast going by their house, but I would like to see if we can move those stop signs closer into the curve. I mean, where they're at now, they're a long ways from it.
Well, the one coming off of Clayton, correct me if I'm wrong, I drove through there one night. I don't normally drive that way. But it seemed like it was up close enough to the curve in a logical spot. It's that one right before it
You talking about the one coming on Elliott?
Yeah, the one coming into town is the one going out of town. The one going out is very forward
Yeah.
of the curve. But at the same time, that same night that I went through it, and there was a car coming from the east, and sure enough, just rolls right through that stop sign anyway. So it really, unless there was a patrol car there, it really didn't matter. I mean, I agree. I thought I thought of a spot that I thought would seem logical, the most logical spot. Whether or not it's actually logical can be debated. But the most logical spot that you would put it. But I know you did that just because you had a sign up and it was kind of.
Well, it saves money because the signs, again, when we put up signs and sign poles, we try to put them as to ADA or OSHA spec. And those were for the signage coming in through, that was the measurements. And I know there was people that said that we put it in their yard without asking. Those signs has been there, I don't know,
Right.
8-10 years.
Yeah.
It's just we took they used to have a curve sign on it, and we just took that off since we already had the sign at the intersection, or the curve there, and just put stop signs. And then the only thing that we really had to pay for was a little over $300 just for the lights, because we already had poles already there. We already had the stop signs. The only thing we had to buy was just the flashing red lights. So I thought, well, I mean, if it works, it ought to work there. But I mean, if not, then
Well, I mean, I think my honest opinion is they're not. No matter where you put them, they're not going to work until there's bite on them. And so, I mean, I'm not opposed to looking at moving that one back.
Just the one you're talking about coming from the east is probably livable.
Yeah.
The one coming on Elliott's the one I see is way too far from anywhere. It's just kind of like it's out in the middle and people just look at it and go on. It may do it anyway, but if we moved it up closer to the curve, that might work. I don't know.
Buddy, who was it that decided that was gonna be the location for him, and how did that decision-making come about that this is the right place?
well,
Is it just because there was already a pole there?
yeah, well, really nobody wanted to make a decision, so as we was
Who's they? Didn't want to
They're pretty close to the same, from the center of the road out to the stop signs, they're pretty close to the same distance. And like I said, the sign post was already there, you know, that's a little over $200 per sign post, and the concrete and everything. I thought, well, you know, if they work, they work, if they don't, they don't, so it's not.
I think the placement of that post is correct for a warning sign, to give you time to know that there's a curve coming, but for a stop sign, I think it needs to be on up closer to the curve.
Well, I mean, again, with the
Just
city.
guessing, I don't
Yeah,
know.
we can put the sign anywhere, as long as it's not attached to a state right of way, because then we do have to follow the rule. But this here, I thought, well, me gonna stop right here and just, you know, a half a block and there's the curve. So I thought, well, I mean, if they're gonna speed, if they wanna go around that faster, they're gonna do it anyway. So instead of spending the extra $450, put it there and let's see if it works. So I mean, I know that they was talking about putting them right in the middle of it. Now, again, it's gonna have to be a vote, because I'm not gonna be the one that decides where they're gonna be stuck. If they get stuck right in the middle of that curve, it's gonna be council okay, and I am not receiving any calls on it. I can tell you that right now.
When you say state right of way, does that include any GRDA? Because I know they got lines going through that area.
Well, I mean, they have a GRDA, you talking about for their electric lines and stuff? Yeah, but now that's not ODOT.
That's
Yeah,
an easement, not
yeah.
a,
Yeah.
Oh, I was just making sure, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it is, like I said, you know, with the city, you know, find out what the law, you know, we can put a sign up without having to get with ODOT. And I mean, for the specs, we put, you know, 4-ways and things, we try to put them to the best spot that would be able to be seen. And of course, this one here is right at where the concrete and the asphalt starts. But, you know, we had, you know, with that curvature sign on there, with that light up on top of it, I mean, you know, you turn off Fifth Street on Elliott Street, you can see the flashing light. You know, I know it's just aggravating, people they don't want to do it, they don't want to stop. I mean, that's, you know, they're all their preference. I mean, it's, but there is, I mean, well, no, probably shouldn't say that, but the one that they said that was the stupidest blank that they ever seen, and it was the one that was
Well, stupid rules exist for a reason. I mean, my opinion on it, I don't really care what we do with that, whether we move it, keep it there. My position is the road just needs to be rerouted to where you have to stop and then turn right, or you have to stop and turn left. That's a much bigger project for down the road that we probably don't have the money for right now. And on top of that, we've got the surveying and all the drainage, and we've got drainage issues up on North Elliott anyway. But until there's bite from people doing it when police are there, and they, the judge decides to hammer them for it, then I think it's just going to continue being an issue. But as far as this, what exactly is the 14-inch rebar spike for asphalt installation? What exactly is that?
That's
Is that-
driving to the ground.
To hold them in place.
So for the speed bumps themselves.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, they're 6 foot, you put a 6 foot piece, 4 foot piece in the center, and a 6 foot piece on the opposite
Yeah.
lane.
My only concern with that is, and I think I know what you're talking about around that.
That's
Yeah,
what they look like.
is
Yeah, I drove over them.
you get that person. I mean, this kind of goes. You go back and forth on what your intended outcome. The intended outcome is people slow down so nobody gets hurt. But somebody hits that speed bump, even one like that at 45, 50.
They hit, especially if it's on the curve.
Mm-hmm.
It's, and they're not paying attention, that is going to,
That-
even just a 2-inch rise. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's, I mean, it can take a chance on them
They're
skipping,
gonna,
and then,
well, they're gonna wrap their car around that hackberry tree that's sitting there on the north side of the road.
I think for all of us, this right here is a beginning of something. And I don't know that we know the answer to it. In a little bit, we're gonna talk about Elliott Street, we're gonna have the same discussion on it. I don't know what would be the best to make it work. I'm like, I think the stop sign that's on the east side, it's probably in a good placement. I think the one that's on Elliott may be too far from the curve, maybe. I don't know whether they would be more apt to stop at the curve than where they are. They may not be apt to stop anywhere, but.
I still vote to make it dead end streets. I mean, I first said it's a joke, but or not really said it's a joke, but I mean,
No, I hear you.
if you would block that off, I mean, then that would take care of any other vehicles coming down there besides the people who live there. That would do away with the curve, that would take all the arguments, people would be able to get in and out of the driveway just fine, yeah. The ones on the east end of that, yeah, they would have to take an extra few minutes at a time, instead of coming down north, they would have to come back around Fish Street or wherever they would go, but I mean, it's not, an hour drive to get out of that. But that's the only thing that I know that would be a permanent fix, and that would take care of all the problems. You'd have to make sure, the signage at the end of it, dead end road, and put a flashlight up on top of that one there, and if they go all the way down and shows that it's blocked off, they get mad, well, pay attention to the signs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like most places you try to get any type of records of any accidents or whatever down through there, but I mean, that road's been there for, 40, 50 years in that curve or or even longer. I know it used to be a county road, so.
There wouldn't be any way to block off the North Elliott side and take Clayton all the way to 69, would there?
Okay. Say that
Take
one more time.
take Clayton. I'm looking at the map here, but take Clayton, block off Elliott, and just. I know GRDA has their thing in there. There's probably some drainage, this, that, and
He's
the
saying
other,
extend Clayton Road east across the creek,
or
or
west,
west across the creek to connect to Highway 69. That's a whole.
and then just block off Elliott, or make it
That's a
a
lot
make
of
it a
room
T
for
intersection.
that.
I mean,
That'd be a bomb.
Yeah, that would be something, well, you'd probably have to go, on whose property that is backside, maybe the gentleman that's.
It's Pernod's,
okay.
and then David Lowe on the other side, I think.
What if we try and move the stop sign, see if that helps anything at all? No speed bumps,
We just got to make sure.
no closing roads. But if we close the road, we would catch it then.
That's not practical.
We'll
No.
call it the Buddy Glenn Project.
I don't my name had nothing to do with that sign through there. I've already got my name picked out when I retire, but I'm gonna be changing, putting signs on it, so y'all get ready.
The Buddy Glenn curve
Yeah,
on one side and Kathy LaValley curve on the other side coming in.
I mean, I don't care, whatever y'all recommend, if you wanna, it'll take a couple days to do, so we'll need to call locate. And then I mean, if you wanna move it up a little bit, I mean, we have to keep it, far enough away from the driveways it's on, just north of there. But I mean, if you wanna move it up, I mean, I have no problem with it,
that's the
Bruce,
only,
what would you say about you taking this on and you and Buddy go up there and figure out the spot to put the stake in the ground?
I don't know if we can do that, or not. I don't know if, I've got a good answer, but he doesn't either. I'm trying to figure out how not to put 14 truckloads of speed bumps all over Pryor. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because
my thing is our plow routes. That's one of the main things I'm worried about. Because like example, well, Clayton Road, Gaither, all on them roads that's outside the cities that is ours, we plow that with the loader. And it's not like something, I guess, you can finesse going over, and if you don't get it off, then it gets built up. Well, then you go from a 2-inch rise to, if you don't get the snow and stuff when it freezes, then you can get a higher rise off of it. Then that's gonna have to take, you're gonna have to go out there with a backhoe and try to chop that off or shovel it off when you go out through. But I mean, that would usually come into effect after we had everything plowed. But when you put in something in the road like that, and you get something like that, we know where they're at, because what I would do, I've got, what do you call them, those things you stick on the side of the road, like for fire hydrants and stuff, that people see where the curb and stuff is. I mean, an indicator. Yeah, like an indicator. I mean, I would put something showing where those were at, that we could have to go over. But I mean, it's just, you catch one of them with that loader, and it would just.
Would there be any way that we couldn't put it here? Because that's Kernut's shop. That's, I can't remember.
Yeah.
I know they own a couple businesses, but right here, kind of however many feet it has to be away from a driveway.
So that the councilman's meeting.
I believe that you ought to have the council board that's in, go down there and look at it. He's the one who's gonna hear about it. I'm gonna have enough problem on my
Councilmember
end.
Shears, that's right.
Bruce, Councilman, there's where the sign is, where basically it goes from that concrete to asphalt.
Yeah,
How many feet from a driveway are signs like that
You
supposed to
could
be?
probably only go from the next driveway. You could probably go halfway up to that. Again, you got to watch how you put anything up. So if anybody decides to put an entrance into their property or whatever, I mean, we try to take that into respect. We don't want to put something that's, well, eventually you're going to put I want to put a gate into it so I can get to my property.
Well, it almost looks like where the property that is on the east side, right after where the sign is, it's got that pole fencing with the cattle panel attached to it. And the next property, what it looks like it borders, is just a bunch of, I don't know what you call those cedar bush looking things that are just all grown up. It almost looks like right there, aside from there being some, well, there's a gas meter, so don't hit a gas line, right? That almost looks like it's close enough to where if you were gonna speed around that curve from that stop, you'd have to punch the gas to the floor, and you shouldn't be doing that anyway. But, I mean, what do you think?
that sounds good to me. It just needs to be closer to the action, but it's kinda out by itself, the stop sign. That's why people throwing a fit about it.
Well, I mean, we can break both of them in. I mean,
But I think the other one's all right.
Yeah, I think the other one's probably
I think
fine. We
it's-
can probably look at doing that, but,
If it's something that,
you want council, I mean, just, that has to go for council recommendation?
Well, they didn't
Do we
put
just do
they
that?
didn't get council recommendation to put it up anyway, so why not just do it?
that'd be the cheapest route, and if it's not any good, then we tear the whole thing down, we don't have 14 million speed bumps to mess with.
So-
Because we're gonna have this same discussion in another way up there on Elliott, on South Elliott. Maybe not quite as bad as this is, but we'll see, but, yeah, go up there and get with Buddy and look at it, and y'all pick out a hole.
Yeah, nothing else, where you talk about moving those in, you might be able to bring where the curve starts, where the stop sign is now, maybe putting if you want, put the speed humps there, so when they start off, then if they take off too, again, they speed, and then they know they got humps there, so maybe they'll wait, they'll stop, go across the humps, which is pretty close to there, and then around the corner, put them in right in between, see if that works.
Yeah,
Cause you don't wanna put them too far away, and you don't wanna, and I don't think it'd be a good idea to put them right at the curb, because I think.
No, it could be a danger thing there.
Especially in the wintertime when it builds up and they go over it, and.
But let's try the stop sign first, and we can always do the speed bumps. We've got the quote on them.
yeah.
So Buddy, is that something that you can just do, or do we need to go to the city council to get them to approve that first?
Because the first time you just
This first
slap a
time
sign
you
on
didn't
and,
get, so,
Oh man, I don't care, I mean, we just do, I can have a guy call, are you want the both stop signs, or you just want to?
just the one on Elliott.
I think that one on Elliott's the only one that's,
Okay. Well, I mean, I
Problem.
just have to call locate in, takes a couple days for locate, so it'd be this next week before we could actually
Okay.
get anything installed.
that would be the cheapest if it works. If it doesn't work, we'll go from there. But
Well, I don't think anything's gonna work without bite, but this is something we can do to make it a little less frustrating for some folks, I guess.
Did you get bids on speed bump?
we didn't get bids, I got a price quote of approximately what they would cost, and he's got that for you if you like it.
Yeah.
what would the
Well, we wouldn't-
what would the paper think about this?
We wouldn't have to bid that.
Mr. Newspaper
Mr.
Editor,
Newspaper, what's your opinion on this stop sign and curve and bumps? Let's get it right from the horse's mouth, we'll have to read about it.
About that curve,
Yeah, the stop sign and the curve, and
I said we should put the mayor in his new police car out there. Station him out there for patrol.
well, he missed that though, he's not here. What's the second
he can hit
option?
that siren when they come up
Yep.
there.
Hit the siren.
For me, I'd just soon try that and see if it works.
I think the valley had the answer, because the problem started about the time you overlaid Clayton Road. They go to blank again, and they won't take it.
Well, you
Buddy,
just heard Buddy a while ago that say that needs to be redone completely next year, so it's gonna have a new racetrack
Yeah, it's not gonna be.
cover over it. But anyway, that's another story for when that happens, a year.
That'd be as
Yeah.
good as a dead end road. They quit driving if it's bad.
Yeah,
2 miles of road, so they go down there like a race car.
But then somebody's gonna pop their tire and sue the city for damages.
Okay, we've got a long ways to go yet,
Yeah.
so,
So if there wants to meet me out there or that, or I'll bring that stop sign from the edge of where that asphalt concrete, I will bring it halfway up in between, and then I will stick it there, and it will be on that asphalt road.
since you live right there, would you go out there with him?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
all right.
I mean, I'm available Friday.
Okay, so moving on to item number 8. I want to take no action on this right now. What this is, there was gonna be some people come to the meeting tonight to talk about speeding on North Whitaker Street and the possibility of them wanting to request to have speed
Do
bumps
we
put
have
in.
to recommend no action or what?
So,
The thing in that area, there is several houses that has children that play out in the street. I mean, I know the yards and stuff, I mean, they have that, but I mean, kids gonna be kids. Riding their bicycles up and down the road and stuff like that, they usually stay within that. I went down there and I just sat there and watched them, I mean, it's not that they're just overwhelmed, but yeah, there's children that come out and play in there. And I think we put signs up, and again, you know,
Well-
it's a sign that says children at play, but again,
Way
people don't pay attention to that.
At this point, we could ask for the PD for some extra patrol there, and that might take care of their problem. I hope, for right
Well,
now.
and again, with the price of that, I mean, it's not unreasonable price. I mean, that's something that you could actually put there, but eventually that road
two-story
there,
house here on the corner.
especially on the west side of the road,
No,
we have a
we're
lot
not
of
even
baseball
close.
in there, so it's gonna need to be milled and overlaid, but
Keep-
with the anchor system that they have with this, I mean, you could pull the anchors out, move them, overlay it, and put them back down on. So,
This
but
is
it's, I think it's
307.
a block from Fourth to Fifth.
No. going up.
Now what road?
Well, what is that? Is it where Ronnie Sharp lives? Is that 3rd Street?
That's 4th Street, right there, corner where he lives. He
Okay,
actually,
so
his
4th
address is
Street,
actually on, I think, on
it's
3rd.
4th Street, there's actually a 4th
Yeah,
Street
from
there?
4th to 5th Street, I think is the area that's being talked about. Because my complaint was they would pull off of 5th Street onto Whitaker Street, and they would speed down to 4th Street for the stop sign.
Okay, so there's
Okay,
fifth.
there is no 4th Street, so,
It would be third.
4th?
Well, that intersects.
it's right in here's where it's at, yeah.
Yeah, that intersects with, Whitaker right there.
Yeah.
It goes from Northwest Fifth down to Northwest Third. Unless we're talking about two totally different areas.
That's it.
No, that's Maple. Maple comes around.
There is no 4th Street on the west side of tracks. It goes from 5th down to 3rd, but it's the intersection there, just in that block south of 5th Street to where it connects there with 3rd. It's where this is at.
Okay.
So, seeing that you know that there's an issue there with kids and everything, what's your opinion about speed bumps on a street like that?
Well, see, that one there, I mean, that's been a residential street, well, it's not something that we actually plow. I mean, my biggest thing is there were some people that, they was wanting it was on plow routes. And that's my problem, because it's hard enough, it takes long enough for you to try to get things plowed out. So, but if you start the speed humps or speed bumps, whichever, I mean, then that's something that it just takes us extra time that we have to get them. Now, on a residential street, I mean, it's something that eventually, once we get out everything, our main streets all plowed and everything, then if we need to, we can go down residential streets. I mean, that's not a big thing, but again, you know, once we start, we just everybody needs to understand. Everybody wants that you put them in. That's going to be a $700 bill everywhere that you put one in between. You know, and depending on how many you want to do it, you want to put one right in the middle, you know, or you want to put them. I mean, if you put them on the ends again,
Okay.
they're going to go across and take off. So you're basically putting them in the middle of the street to make them slow down.
Okay,
So
so anyway, next month's meeting, there's gonna be a group of probably 3 or 4 families here to talk about this same thing. So we'll put that off until then and readdress it again. Okay, number 9. Discuss and recommend council action about South Elliott Street, Southeast 29th traffic issue. Mr.
Okay.
Smith, this is your,
About a
Department.
week ago, Steve Grossman contacted me and said he had complaints of the traffic bottlenecked or backed up there on Elliott at that intersection. And he was wondering about removing that stop sign on Elliott going north. And my first opinion is, if you do that, you'll have a raceway. That's the only stop sign there before you get to 17th Street. Now, he's right. I sit there and watch it every day. There's a backup of traffic going to work, or mostly coming from work, not going. Going's not a problem. But when you get off work from 3 to 5, there's a bunch of traffic on Elliott. The same's true in Tulsa. If you go 244 or I-44, when you get time to get off work, they're all backed up. And I don't know if there's an answer we've got for that. Another thing that's going to be an issue, at that intersection, there at the south where the old Worship May's house is, where the city-county line is, okay, Ken Rain's going to start developing that land in there pretty quick, and he's going to open up that road going to the west. So that won't be an immediate problem, but if you get houses built in there, it will be in a few years. So I don't know whether, one of the problems I see, and I've heard complaints about, when you're coming from the south, going north on Elliott, and you come to the stop sign there at the Y, you cannot see back to your right. If you're in a truck, if you're in a van, you have to turn your vehicle sideways to keep from getting run over. What about if we put a stop sign on the coming east, right there, parallel to the one that's on Elliott? And that way, at least the people on Elliott won't have to worry about getting run over if they stop at the stop sign. That won't help the traffic coming out of South Elliott, but I don't know we can help that. The only other thing you might do is make a four-way stop, and that's gonna back up stuff too. Or a signal light, which is gonna cost you what, Mayor, 30, 50, 100,000, depending on what's, bunch.
It's either that or just, if you're wanting Elliott Street to stay open, you could take everything that we got there, move it over on the curve since there's less traffic, and then the curb traffic will have to stop, which would be easy to visualize back to your left on your driver's side of your vehicle. Because you do have more on South Elliott, but again, like you said, if you open that up, that's a straight shot from 17th Street,
That's
south all the way to 69A.
Now, they run fast there too. I don't want any speed bumps. But the police go down and patrol it. The police can go down there and sit, and I've watched them. They can sit there 30 minutes and won't be a soul run that stop sign. Won't happen. And as soon as he's gone, they'll run it. But you can't keep everybody perfect all the time. It's not gonna happen. The PD's got this stuff all over town. My only hope is we might make it a little safer if we put up a stop sign on that curve coming from the east, kind of parallel to the one on Elliott, where at least you wouldn't have to turn your car sideways to see if somebody's coming around the curve. Now, the odd thing about all this, I don't think there's been 2 accidents in 30 years there. How they've done it, I don't know.
So,
You had to
if
say
don't
it.
mind, real quick, when I was on the council, we brought this up, this intersection, and just for reference, that was the argument. We had talked about something's gotta give, whether we put a light there, all those things, everything that's said, and I'm not opposed to the complexity and the nightmare of this corner. But the response from the then administration and the police chief was, we've never had an accident. And I said, well, at some point, we need to be proactive instead of reactive, because it's not a matter of when, it's just when it's gonna happen. And what we got out of that was that little tiny sign that says, cross traffic does not stop. You remember that? And that was all that we could get put up on that. So, if you don't mind, my 2 cents being the counselor from that area, and I travel that every day, going back and forth to a place my family loves to spend more money than anything, is I would almost be inclined to say the removal of the curve to a 90.
Now, I've thought about that
Yeah.
too.
The only problem you're gonna get there is the southbound traffic having to turn to cut through the northbound traffic. But at least what you're doing is allowing that northbound traffic to keep moving. So, that's my 2. I think it's an awful turn. We talked about a roundabout at one point. If anywhere in town, even more than your favorite corner, would benefit from a roundabout, it'd be that spot right there. But the cost on that is
Yeah, there we go.
tremendous. So I don't think there's any driveways in that stretch of that turn. Practicality says get rid of the curve and make it a 90.
Well, here's another
You'd
question.
have to have a
'cause we're-
four-way stop though, there, wouldn't you? Or would you?
The 3-way.
No, you wouldn't have a 4-way, you just, your Elliott Street would be open, and just when you do away with the curve, they would have to come up and stop. They're on 29th Street, you can make a left or a right.
Right.
So, I mean, just, there's already a stop sign there already.
Is that totally the city's responsibility and problem, or does this need to be a joint thing with the county?
It'll have to be a joint, because if you go to the
South a little bit?
I'm heading south, if I'm going to the east, it's county.
Yeah, east, where that last drive for the, I think the church, I think it's still there. There's a pipe that goes across the road right there. That's, once the courthouse looked at all that, and from that point on is county's.
Well, Councilman Smith brought this up, that Steve Grossman contacted him about it here a few weeks ago, so at least the county's wanting to get some dialogue started with us about it, so this is gonna be an ongoing discussion, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of sitting down and talking to them about it, so.
Yeah, he would have been here tonight, but he had a special school he had to go to get some kind of grant or something, so he couldn't be here. So I think we can get with him and discuss this and come up with something. The city line actually is dead center of that driveway that goes to Warshy Mays' house, from going back to the west. It goes right straight down that driveway. This half, and this, but it does stop where he's talking about down there by that Catholic, or by the church somewhere right there is the eastbound side of it.
Because I believe, I may be wrong, but doesn't Mud own that corner?
Yes, so, and when we talk about the line, and according to Mr. Stott, the driveway to his building back there, that's where the city limits is at. Very
Right.
strategically placed to be on the east side of the line, but that's where that's at, that's where that line you're talking about is at as well, so.
So if there's a possibility too, that there could be some utilities in there too, and all that would have to be moved, or however we decided to do.
Only the main water line going to Pryor.
Just
The
maybe,
manhole they have there on the corner anyway,
yeah.
or pump, yeah. Pump down there on that corner, so.
So this is gonna come up again here with Commissioner Grossman. Mr. Elwood, do you have a comment on that real quick?
You just said one of the things, I think that in past discussions.
Don't you like the way I think?
MUB's got a big old line in there.
Yeah.
That's what's kept us from doing a lot, such as squaring it off. And supposedly, somebody who lives around there owns a piece of that. Or has that been cleared up?
That I don't know.
It used to be owned because we used to mow that and we found out it was private.
Yeah.
We own enough to put those curvature signs going around, but then what I understand that the utilities purchased that whole intersection.
Yeah,
So
because
there's no more, personal property, okay, correct. All right.
yeah, because MUB was using a specific Cajun mowing company to.
There's nothing, I'll move all that.
Okay,
But
So-
anyway, we'll have to kick this around some more, but at least it's out there.
Talking about being proactive, like you mentioned, this is all floodplain down here, isn't it? Because it floods really bad when we get bad enough storms. So it's not like this whole area between here and where these houses are is gonna be able to be developed. Right?
Floodplain should go from
east,
Now, where are you talking about?
29th Street back south, that's all floodplain into.
that right there.
Yeah. Well, the only reason I ask is because, you know, if our population went to the point of where a lot of different areas were being developed, it may be wise to look at something like an actual light and making it, you know, deleting the curve and making everybody come there to a light. But I know that's gonna be money intensive. But I mean, if nobody's gonna be able to do that anyway, because I've seen that area underwater before. I mean,
Well, you know where I live.
deleting that curve is gonna happen.
You know where I live?
Mhm.
Okay, up there's 27 acres back behind. That's where he's gonna develop.
Yeah.
There is a small stretch down that creek that's in the floodplain, but on the other side it's out, and on this side it's out, but there is a piece down through that is.
Yeah, but basically all this right here, because I know the gate's
Yeah.
shut,
Yeah,
but,
yeah, all that down
I mean,
there.
it sounds like the best idea is to, I mean, if we wanna pull that sign, then that's gonna have to come to a 90 and no curve. But you'd have to pull across the northbound traffic if you're gonna turn left right there.
There again, would it help us at all right now to put a stop sign in that curve coming from the east? Where you'd be parallel with each other and you at least see with a stop sign, you wouldn't have to turn your truck sideways to see if you come around that curve. If we take the curve out, it'd make no difference, but talking
Well, the
about,
only thing I'm worried about, you're gonna get somebody to pull up, stop here, if they come up at the same time, who's gonna take off? One's gonna take off, the other, well, I'm gonna beat this guy, I'm gonna beat this guy.
You
Then,
yield to the right, don't you?
that's rules of road there.
so I mean,
So is stopping at stop signs, driving the speed limit, not climbing
Yeah.
the speed bumps?
Yeah, be perfect.
So we got problems on north end of Elliott and on the south end of Elliott, they're all the same, and we don't know what the hell to do about it.
No,
Other than turning
Okay.
it into a 90 degree, there you
Okay.
go.
So anyway, this is gonna be an ongoing discussion with Commissioner Grossman and a long, drawn-out process on how to get all that done. So we'll wait till he gets back and we'll visit with him about that. So just real quick, then moving on to item number 10, discussion on capital improvements needs. Buddy, you came up and gave us this a couple months ago, but I just want you to have it on your radar to give us just a quick update on what you're needing or gonna want again for
Well, yeah, the thing is on,
besides the street sweeper. We know about that one.
yeah, and that's definitely because I guess, you know, what I understand, and Terry may be able to correct, but I guess years ago, they voted to get a street sweeper to sweep the streets. That was the thing. It wasn't just something that everybody just decided. I believe what I was told that it went to the vote of the people because they wanted their streets swept. I mean,
That's a good story, though, I like it.
so, but anyway, but I mean, it helps with the drainage. I mean, you can tell right now we haven't had anything, and we go by to try to clean things up and ditches and stuff. It just makes everything a lot more difficult. Skid steer I put down, I mean, we can go without it. Another one, the thing is, it's just the hydraulics is getting, you can't run a jackhammer on it. It's the high flow on it is starting to get weak. And we don't use it anymore for that. We try to share it back and forth. Sometimes we do have a jackhammer that goes on one of our backhoes. So if we absolutely have to, I mean, we can do it that way. The skid steer seems like it works a lot better than that.
Skid steer, is it
It's
capable in right now? Is it still in enough shape you can trade and get anything out of it?
It's a 2008. That's what we got with FEMA money back and we had that ice storm. I mean, but right now, I mean, that's what right now we use it. I mean, for leveling dirt and stuff, I mean, we use it in the wintertime to do salt, so we keep the salt off everything else. But with it being in through there, you can tell some of the areas that gets starting to get rusty. We had one of our cylinders go up there with the salt and stuff on it. After the last couple of years, the salt finally eats some of the rubber grommets and everything off on it. We had to get one to replace it. Of course, sweeper. Then we do have a pickup down there. I think it's a 97 or 98. I'd have to go back and look, but it's using, you know, 3/4 oil a week. I mean, just driving it. I mean, it's just that was the one that got stolen that we found back off of what is that road out there? Goes to the train station, not on Yellowstone, but the other train station. Anyway, that's where they stole it, took it out there and put it behind their trailer house and they repainted it and all that stuff, and we found it. Well, when they went out there, they made her dig, because I mean, I don't know what all was going on, but now we've had motor problems with it since then, but we just kind of babied it along. But now it's starting to use. And what I was going to do with that, instead of buying because it is a 1-ton flatbed, and what I was going to do with that one there is just go down and buy a smaller pickup. Because what we use for that one there is basically you can still patch with it. And we use it kind of as a sign truck, putting their stuff around. You can still haul brush on it, things like that. I mean, it's still usable, so it'd be cheaper to buy like a little small Colorado than a 1-ton flatbed. So, I mean, we save a little money by replacing that. But the other ones we have a diesel, they're not a bad vehicle. The maintenance truck that we have, it is the old fire truck that used to be with
Rescue truck.
Yeah, it's got all the side
Yeah.
on all that stuff. See, we took that over. We didn't have enough vehicles at one time when we was using it. So, but that's what he has, and it's a 4-speed. I mean, yeah, it's still functioning, but I mean, you know, eventually having something that our maintenance guy, if we break down, it's something where he'd be able to.
What about if we traded a pickup we may have come in surplus and sent it to your department? That'd work, wouldn't it?
If it's a good vehicle, I don't want something
The
already.
chief's driving it right now.
Is that one a Ford or a Chevy?
Ford.
Oh, screw it. Sorry. I mean, forget it. I wouldn't do it.
I don't know how he'd get along.
If it was good enough for the chief of police to hand it down to the mayor and then he drove it and it could be going to you.
Well, what about the other one?
Well, is that a V8 or an EcoBoost?
The black one?
The one we're talking, yeah, the
Duke's truck.
one we're talking
I'm
about.
talking about the other one. I'm talking about the new chief, the chief's new truck he's gonna get the old one traded out. What's it?
Yeah, the one Jeep just got rid of isn't ready to be traded out. It's only 80,000 miles.
white beast, yeah, that's,
It's rough. It's rough. It's kind of crooked.
Okay, we still have a few more things to go here, so Buddy,
Yeah.
just give us a quick list. Skid steer, street sweeper, truck, maintenance truck,
yeah, bucket truck.
bucket truck, okay?
That's for anything, and then of course we have something here on the next thing. But again, something that building next door, the very original street department, something's gonna have to be done with that. When it rains, like, we checked the price, it was gonna be $26,000, have the roof put on it, the building ain't worth that much. And, we've gone up there with our old, oil machines that we had, and we would cover the roof, we just cover it all up. And it would work for a while, but once it gets old but I mean, we got water where it just pours in.
So you need that building replaced
Correct.
in the next couple of years?
Yeah, something like that, 2 or 3 years. I mean, like I said, I'm pretty easy on things. I guess, if it's not broke, don't fix it or try to fix it or add to that. But I mean, we're gonna have to start looking at every, 10 years on stuff like that. We're gonna have to, like the sweeper, so we don't run into the thing like we're doing now and can't find parts.
Okay.
So, but that's our main things right now, is just, bucket truck we got, and I'm waiting for MUB. They're supposed to maybe have something coming up that we can work a deal without them. But once this pump that goes out on it, we just got it rebuilt. They said that they couldn't, after that, there's no more rebuild parts they couldn't find anymore. So it's a 98, I think it is. So it's good night.
Okay, discussion regarding the purchase of radios for the street department. Buddy?
What this is, we have radios for a lot of that we purchased back when Jack was still here for the radios. Well, then they come in and narrowed the bandwidth down, and that basically put our radios down to like a 2-block radius is all they'll reach out. I got with Mr. Jansen, and he had there was 3 different radios we went out with him and Mike, and we went driving around and just checking the coverage that the radios would do. Just the regular old radios like we have right now, about the same thing. You get about 2 blocks away because you don't have that line of sight, and which that wouldn't do us any good. Because the reason I'm doing this is because when I need to communicate with the guys, all we have is I have to call them on their phones. Well, I know right now phones, unlimited minutes and stuff like that, but I don't think I should have to be calling them on their phones because the city doesn't pay for their phones. They're using that for that. We checked with one, and one of them, they're like $3,500 a piece. And I said, no, that's out. But the thing is, it's the same type of radio, and there's already a tower that would save money. Johnny said if y'all really want something, right now Muskogee Communications is making up a deal for us to show what it's going to cost. It's going to be $30,000. But these radios, whatever it is, but then it's what Johnny's trying to explain to me. There's an old GRDA tower that nobody's using. It's already out there that we use. It's 150 foot tall. So that would be something we wouldn't have to purchase to put up. But it's what he calls a repeater. The radio signal goes to that, then it sends the signal out to the radios. And that radio that he said that they had on theirs, you could you could hear people talking in 8-air on it.
Well, even so, you could probably use the police department's tower too.
Well, maybe one better than that.
But anyway, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter
yeah.
right now what towers. The point is, you need to buy some radios.
Yes.
So are you gonna be going out for bids on those in the new year or this year?
Yes, it'll be in the new year. It's just something I want y'all be aware of, that we're going to have to look at something, because again, I'm waiting for Muskogee Communications. They're going to give us a package deal for, and this also I forgot, MUB may be going in with us because their radio system they have is basically the same way as ours. The radios don't reach very well. So if they do that, it may be a package deal because they could do a 2-channel instead of a single channel. So if they do that, it may be a package where we can get in and, because all I'm needing is handheld. I don't need the vehicle radios. They're a couple $100 more. I just need something when they walk out in the morning and grab it, stick it on their pocket, their hip, whatever.
I've got an idea you'll like, I think. I've noticed advertising, and I can't remember what they're called, but they're walkie-talkies as such. But they're called a Fast Track, or Sean Hannity advertises them all the time on his show. They cost about, I think they're about $400 a pair. They run, you can talk to somebody in Greece with them. They run off all these cell phone towers, and it's just a cell phone. But it's a walkie-talkie where you can just push it and talk. That might be something to look into.
Well,
It connects to all the signal chat rooms too.
Well,
No,
but the thing with
it's
that,
all
if you're,
private.
but if you're, see, that was the thing we was looking at, cause see, if our phone service went down, then your radios wouldn't be any good.
Okay.
So that's, I mean, that's what we're looking at, with a repeater up through there, we have our own channel,
So how many?
we're looking at 10.
10 radios.
Cause what we would do, you could also use those for events here downtown.
Right.
So that would cover everything, I would need like 5 or 6 at the shop
And the
for
estimated
everything.
cost is how much? 30?
Yeah, we're looking at 30, now it just depending
Okay.
on that,
Okay.
cause a 2-channel, they said is just costs the same as a single channel. So if we do that, then utilities may be able, because we talked to Jared, he said that might be something he'd interested in going in with us, so we maybe split the cost.
Are they 800 megahertz?
I don't know how much I'd have.
For 800 megahertz, you got all kinds of channels you can turn in there. You can talk to Highway Patrol, you can talk to everybody in the country, GRDA, they're all on 800 megahertz system. If you're on that, we'll have to see what you're gonna be, see what you're talking about.
Just get some CB radios from the truck stop and put them in each car, right?
Oh, we've already tried that.
They did that years ago.
Yeah, that ain't.
Yeah, that's a big negatory. Because they start talking like truck drivers, and I tell them, no, we ain't doing that no more. Nothing against truck drivers, I used to be one, but yeah,
Just trying to save money, right?
yeah.
Okay, discussion regarding manpower needs. Last time we talked, you were gonna ask for one person
Correct.
in the new year. That's still kind of your plan?
Yeah, just one to replace the one that left. Because, I mean, yes, it does, it takes us a little bit longer getting things done, but like right now, when the spring starts coming around, that gives me three two-man crews. I got, doing repairs and stuff like that, but it also gives me 2 guys going out weed eating and spraying, trimming and things like that. So that would give me, and it's kind of a safety deal. I mean, also, if something goes out and happens, in the alleys, you get attacked by a dog, you're laying out there, and yes, that has happened. That's why I carry a pig sticker with me in the truck, because I had a Rottweiler in the alley one time, and he was barking. I thought, well, he's in the fence, he ain't coming out. No, he done had him a hole. So back in my younger days, I was pretty speedy, so I outrun the dog. But then after that, but I mean something like that. But again, you got 2 people. If they're hot summertime, you have to go out and weed eat. You got somebody there watching over. So if you pass out, you got somebody. But
Are you interested, and would you like to have, if we can get it, summer help in Cherokee Nation? Could you use them at all?
if they're a certain age, because if they're under 18, there's only certain things that they can use. Like if they're under that, they can't work along the highways or anything. So if you've got, weed eating, some sidewalk work and stuff like that to do, unless the laws has changed, if they was under that, the only places they could work with it, they'd have to be somewhere you couldn't use them on the highway for anything. Like
Okay.
picking up trash. But that would, we used to have it all the time. Our problem was.
They're gonna be available this year. I already checked with Callison, he said they were available, so if you want to, see about doing it, we'll talk to them and see.
Yeah, if I had a couple, like with that gator, we go pick up, like I said, if they're old enough to do that, because right now we gotta get on the highways, we got trash, it's just blowing everywhere. People they're not, the businesses and stuff, I guess they're dumpsters in the back or whatever it is, I don't know if animals getting it or people are dumpster diving or whatever, throwing stuff, then forgetting about it, but it's going everywhere. But we do have a lot of spraying and weed eating and.
Well, if you had 4 or 5 and had to have one guy supervise them, you'd still be way ahead, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, you could have somebody out through there.
Same thing with the parks,
Yeah.
do the same thing if they want to, we'll see.
There is a certain timeline and application process to go through that to request them. So Bruce probably can get that information to you.
I'll find out.
Okay.
About what exactly the paperwork you gotta fill out and all that, so.
All right, we'll do that.
All right, great. And then lastly, we're not gonna talk about this, but just discussion to remind everybody, like I said earlier, on drainage, on physical, street and drainage improvements. We talked about having each councilman, again, go out in your ward and put together a list of what is high priority that needs to be done, because next year's plan is to kind of put together a list of everything all over town and bid it out to try to get a lot of stuff fixed. So just be,
I think
Look
mine's
at your
already getting
list.
hit on, that intersection and that drainage, which the
well,
drainage
yeah,
is already in process.
yeah.
Well, I already
You're
have,
down there in the south part of town anyway, so everything's all good down there, right? 'Cause it's already been
Yeah, drains
spent.
out.
yeah, Dr. Raines, he was happy with what we done, getting his part cleaned out, but I mean, there's a lot of work, but I already have two. I've got one that's over in the Brentwood area there. I believe Carrie lives over there. It's just past,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cherry
that's-
Point.
That ditch gotta be done.
That's gotta be done, then I've got, we're gonna have to replace here off of, I'd say it's First Street now, it's gonna have to make me think about it, cause I was thinking Fourth Street, but that's probably right. But, the pipe is, we had to close the street off for a week, we had to open it up, pour concrete up underneath it to hold the street back up. So it's a huge pipe that's gonna have to be replaced, so if we're gonna do a drainage, might just add that in, so you got the manpower to get in there while we're doing other stuff to have that fixed. So I mean, I've got two of them for that, so, Brookfield Terrace is where that's at, so.
Okay. All right, thank you, buddy. I do want to talk to you real quick before you, after the meeting though. Do we have anything in our unforeseeable business?
Raise.
It was something.
Yes, the fire and range drainage pipes.
God, yes, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
I
you're
forgot
on.
about that.
Sorry, I just had some other calls about other city business that was, I apologize for stepping out twice. GRDA is ready to move on the dirt work. That came very last minute, I think, what, Friday or something?
Yeah,
that
it was
came
last
through.
week.
And we're kind of at their mercy because they're doing all of that dirt work for their contribution to this project at the range over here off of Dog Pound Road. That said, there's materials that need to be purchased. Those materials are 200 feet of 24-inch heavy-duty drain pipe that'll go underneath the berm. There will need to be four 8 connectors to connect that drain pipe. Those are 20-foot runs, so they've got all that. I gave it to Buddy. I think I showed it to some of you. There's bands that'll be needed to tie all those together. That's all pretty common. And then I think there was 2,000 feet?
Yes, sir.
2,000 feet of silt fence that needs to be brought in. That money that will purchase those will come from the $115,000 that Cherokee Nation has set aside. Why am I addressing this as unforeseeable? Because it came in literally just within the last day or so. So here's the problem. We're gonna buy that through the street department because Buddy can get that stuff. The EDTA has said absolutely up to 8,000 because that's about what it'll cost. They'll refund that once they get an invoice. But given the time frame that GRDA is moving now, I need to know that you guys are okay with me telling Buddy, get it ordered. I'll put it on the council agenda for Tuesday for full council approval. But you said, what, about 2 weeks is what it'll take to get all that?
Usually week and a half.
Silt fence, we can get it Pryor lumber. That's not an issue. That's a local thing, but, and that's $900. So if we just need to go buy that and get it done, that's not, the concern is gonna be those long runs of pipe that are almost 6,000. And that stuff is gonna have to be brought in. So I wanna make sure that you guys are, as the street committee, are okay with me telling Buddy to go ahead and get it ordered so that we can get the ball moving on that in time to meet GRDA's timelines. Bruce, what's your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, I knew all about it, I'm all for it. I'm gonna say that this tie-in is a berm they're building that's not there, but it's gonna go to the other drains that's already there, so this just drains the whole thing. Yeah, it's a good deal.
But EDTA, holder of the money, will refund every penny that comes out of this budget once we get invoices for the product that's bought. I still have to put it on the council approval for formality of approval. So it's not like the street department's out anything. It'll all be repaid through the funds that were donated generously from Danny Callison and Cherokee Nation. Any questions? It's not really a voting thing.
No, I'm good for it.
Unless you don't wanna wait a week and a half or whatever it is, and, I mean, it's gonna cost extra, but you could probably go to Hamel Metals and just buy it.
It'll be extra, it'll take longer.
Yeah.
Shop local.
Costco?
I thought you said you're buying it here in Lumberyard.
No, the silt fence, yes.
Oh, okay.
We're
All right.
talking,
We're still shopping local.
yeah.
All right.
So there's other sources to get the piping, but, you know, Buddy's got a connection there through street department stuff. He can get that ordered, take about 2 weeks, it's here, and then we're
There's
not.
not a bidding problem anywhere in this, is there?
No,
All right,
no.
good.
Did I get the Piper State bid price?
If there's problems with bidding issues on this, you're the
Foreman.
head coordinator of this whole project, so it's gonna have your name all over it.
All right, good. I knew you'd be in trouble with these.
So you said ordered, does that mean money is spent prior to the approval, or?
Nothing's gonna be spent until the council gives their nod on Tuesday, but he can
Okay.
get the ball rolling and get that invoice, or that PO set up.
Encumber a purchase
Cover,
order.
yeah,
Are we good? Are we good on that?
good.
Yes.
Cherokee, right?
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Bashir, second by Smith. Call for the vote?
Smith,
Yes.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Lamar.
Yes. We are adjourned.
Court get into the